You wake up in the dark. The clock reads 2 a.m. As the minutes tick by, anxiety builds as you calculate exactly how few hours remain until your alarm goes off. For thousands, this exact frustration leads to a sterile room with wires glued to your scalp, desperate for a medical solution to broken sleep. Doctors have a specific term for this midnight wakefulness: sleep maintenance insomnia. Sleep maintenance insomnia is a clinical diagnosis for the inability to stay asleep through the night. The standard treatment is a prescription sedative designed to force the brain back into continuous unconsciousness. A patient in this situation is told their biology is malfunctioning. Yet historical and anthropological records suggest the medical system is simply enforcing an unnatural schedule. The modern expectation that healthy adults must consume their rest in a single, uninterrupted 8-hour block is a highly specific artifact of the Industrial Revolution. Attempting to force the human body into this rigid window direct conflicts with our genetic programming. Viewing sleep entirely through the lens of a 9-to-5 schedule represents a deeply flawed medical paradigm. Medicalizing a 2 a.m. wake-up call ignores human history, operating instead as a tool of industrial compliance to ensure workers are ready for a standardized shift. For millions of years of hominid evolution, rest was dictated by the solar day, seasonal variations in light, and temperature drops. Human sleep was incredibly fluid and responsive to the environment. This chart contrasts the bimodal pattern of pre-industrial segmented sleep with modern habits. Sleep was divided into a first and second sleep. The waking interval at midnight was an active period used to tend hearth fires, check livestock, or process dreams. Waking up in the middle of the night is a dormant physiological capacity, hardwired into the human body. It is an ancestral biological script that modern society decided to overwrite. The disruption of human rest patterns accelerated rapidly with the invention of the incandescent light bulb. Artificial illumination tricked the human brain into perceiving continuous daylight, severing a biological tether to the sun. Simultaneously, populations migrated from flexible farms to urban centers. The new factory system required highly synchronized labor to maintain the continuous operation of capital-intensive machinery. Under the strict regimens of factory whistles and railway timetables, the multiphasic rest patterns of the past became entirely incompatible with modern life. Sleep was conceptually downgraded into an inconvenient necessity that subtracted from potential wage-earning hours. Consolidating sleep into a single, late-onset block of 8 hours was an economic tool invented specifically to maximize commercial production. You cannot simply enforce a mechanical schedule onto a biological organism. The human sleep-wake cycle is strictly governed by the two-process model, a neurological framework driven by two interacting physiological forces. This graph illustrates two interacting forces: homeostatic sleep pressure and your circadian pacemaker. The gray forbidden zone represents a massive genetic surge in arousal signaling. Forcing an evening chronotype to sleep during this zone is biologically impossible. Fighting these internal rhythms induces a condition known as social jet lag. Social jet lag is the chronic biological stress caused when an individual's internal circadian clock clashes with externally imposed schedules, resulting in cascading health consequences. Living out of phase with your biology triggers severe metabolic dysfunction, altering hunger hormones and impairing glucose tolerance. It also disrupts cardiovascular recovery, often preventing the normal nocturnal drop in blood pressure known as dipping. Dipping is a necessary physiological process where systolic blood pressure decreases by at least 10% during sleep. The damage extends deeply into the physical structure of the brain. Deep, slow-wave sleep engages the glymphatic system. The glymphatic system is a macroscopic perivascular network responsible for washing neurotoxic waste products out of the central nervous system. During deep and unmedicated rest, astroglial cells physically shrink, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to wash away highly toxic byproducts. When an alarm clock truncates your rest before your biological duration is met, this clearance process shuts down. The result is a compounded buildup of neurotoxic plaques, directly implicated in cognitive decline and dementia. The exhaustion millions feel every day is a profound systemic circadian misalignment, rather than a failure of individual discipline. Forcing employees out of their natural rhythm results in massive economic losses through presenteeism. Presenteeism is the phenomenon of being physically present at the workplace while cognitively impaired and unproductive. When forward-thinking companies abandon rigid shifts and align work hours with individual chronotypes, objective performance metrics immediately rise. You can actively map and support your own biological clock through chronohygiene. Chronohygiene is the practice of manipulating and respecting the biological clock through environmental cues without relying on pharmaceuticals. It begins with a personal sleep audit, eliminating alarms and letting your body wake naturally to reveal its true genetic preference. From there, you use your environment to anchor your rhythm. Getting full-spectrum sunlight immediately upon awaking halts melatonin production, while dropping your bedroom temperature at night mimics the ancestral environments that trigger restorative slow-wave sleep. Aligning your habits with your genetics is a critical act of preventative medicine. Reclaiming the biological sovereignty of the human body clock requires leaving behind a 140-year-old industrial factory model and finally allowing ourselves to rest the way our bodies are built to.